Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today on my way to start my day. I gotta head up the hill to the new job that I started this week. Honestly, I'm spending about 30 minutes in the car every day, and normally I save the podcast that I'm going to listen to for the trip. But this morning I woke up really early and found it where I couldn't go back to sleep. I felt that if I turned on a podcast, I'd be able to fall back asleep without turning on the television and lighting up the room and everything like that. So I started to listen to Wrestling Observer Radio. And in this video, I plead to you guys, right now, if you sign up for Wrestling Observer, if you're not a subscriber, you're going to get your subscription that goes all the way through WrestleMania, because we're less than 30 days away. And you'll get great news and great stories every day. And I guarantee it, if you sign up, you'll end up subscribing for more than another month. I've been subscribed for well over, I believe, 4 years now, ever since my, we'll call it my guest subscription, ran out. And I decided that I needed to have this. Before you listen to my views or anybody else's views or read a story about this, I plead that you go listen to this on the Observer, because this kept me up all morning. I wasn't able to go back to sleep. Dave and Bryan talked about Daniel Bryan. Mostly Dave did, for at least about 20 minutes. And I guaranteed, if you go to any of these like wrestling news sites, you'll pop it open and they'll have this 20-minute discussion typed up in less than a paragraph, probably 3, maybe 4 sentences at the most. And there's a lot of information in there that you need to know about Daniel Bryan. But probably the rumor of the day is that Daniel Bryan will be leaving WWE and wanting to sign with New Japan Pro Wrestling to finish out his wrestling career. As everybody knows, Daniel Bryan and The Miz got into it on Talking Smack yet again. I'm guessing that they're thinking that the battle between Bryan and Miz is worth more to the network and to SmackDown than Vince McMahon's beliefs in not hyping up a match that you're not going to be able to deliver on. Daniel Bryan definitely hinted that he will be leaving WWE, that he will be wrestling. Basically, Miz put it out there. I believe the words that he said was that you want to wrestle, but your head won't let you. Basically talking about his problems that he's had, concussions in the past. Basically the last one, I believe the last injury that Daniel Bryan suffered is after WrestleMania 31. He got a brogue kick from Sheamus, and that knocked him out. And then what the final nail in the coffin is that because he had thoughts, and now that is, coming to life, is that he wanted to actually start a family with Brie Bella. He came forward with the admission that, he has had post-concussion symptoms where he has had seizures, and that is what put the nail in the coffin for Daniel Bryan, basically saying that they didn't want him wrestling anymore. He was not going to be able to be cleared. Daniel Bryan did try for a good little while to get out of his contract, but WWE had no thoughts of releasing him, even though at the time they did not really have a job for him to do. He came back to work. Now his contract is actually starting to knock off to the point where now in a year and a half it will end, and he'll be able to walk away and do whatever he wants to do, whether if that's wrestle again, or just live a normal life, or take outside bookings, doing other things. But I think everybody wants to know that the drive and the desire for Daniel Bryan is to wrestle. He was honestly one of the best wrestlers that I had ever seen. I think that honestly you need to get out of the WWE bubble if you've never seen him wrestle in Japan or for Ring of Honor or any other companies that this guy's worked for. Ring of Honor, a few of them are really hard to get now because they're not in print. But Ring of Honor honestly has a couple different Daniel Bryan best ofs. They at least got to have one on there, because that, I know that if you put Daniel Bryan's face on a DVD for that company and you put it at the merch stand, somebody's going to buy it. The guy's still one of the biggest stars there is in wrestling. People haven't forgot, his match where he won the championship from Cena at SummerSlam, or him winning the title at WrestleMania 30. It sucks that, that sort of was the end of him, even though that they built him up, or the fans built him up for well over a year. I can honestly say that I don't know how old Daniel Bryan is, but I'm hoping that in a year and a half he will at least have something left in the tank to give one match or a couple matches if that's what he wants to. Everybody can remember the Nigel McGuinness documentary where he did his last tour of independent dates before retiring as a wrestler. Where basically he took a show on the road. He made a documentary talking about, what was going on in his life at the time. Daniel Bryan has this built-up thing where he's wanted to wrestle now for at least now 2 years, I believe. And now when his contract ends, it'll be 3.5 years where he just wants to be able to share his passion and be able to give the fans everything he has, as well as, prove that he was one of the best wrestlers there was in the world. I, I understand while WWE won't let him wrestle. They don't want to take the liability of knowing, the concussion symptoms that he already has. And I'm not going to say that, when he came back after WrestleMania 30 and did the comeback for WrestleMania 31, they didn't know what was going on at that time either. And it's not like you can tell people, like, hey, go out there and make sure you don't injure Daniel Bryan because we need this guy to wrestle because he's one of the biggest stars they have. Honestly, I don't care if we're talking about, maybe we can't say Brock Lesnar, but I think that, most guys from the top of the card with, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, all the way down to, your, who are some job errors that we can talk about? Bo Dallas, Jack Swagger's still under the thing. It doesn't matter where you are on the card. Those guys are going out there. They're trained professionals, whether if they were trained at an outside place or if they were trained at the Performance Center. All of those guys go out there and they do not try to injure people. The people that, backlashed on Sheamus or Seth Rollins for points in their career when people were saying they were being reckless and not caring about hurting people. I guarantee you Seth Rollins thinks about the accident with Sting a lot. I bet you that, Seth Rollins thinks about breaking John Cena's nose every once in a while. Shit happens. It is what it is. The professional wrestlers, they're trying their best to make their shit look stiff. And every once in a while, you're going to punch somebody in the face. You're going to kick somebody in the face. It is what it is. But all of those guys are safe. So, to say Daniel Bryan go out there and, strap pillows to his head, it's not going to work and it's not going to be the same. So if he wants to go to Japan or if he wants to go to Europe or England or, anywhere in the world that'll take him, here's to him. The guy wants to do what he wants to do. He knows what's going to happen if anything bad happens. And I'm sure Brie is going to be that wife that's, pulling on his, his collar, trying to make sure that he doesn't do it, or at least he's as safe as he can when he does. I'm sure that he'll be able to handpick his opponents, and go from there. So, this is just me basically saying that I wish you well, Daniel Bryan. If you want to wrestle, you want to wrestle. I'm sure I've done things in my life that people are told me that wasn't safe to do, and I did them anyways. So I completely understand. I can guarantee you that I'll be there cheering for you, but at the same time, anytime it looks like you're getting kicked in the head or hit in the head, I'm going to be nervous, and that's what sucks about it. So, peace out. I'll see you guys down the road.